Hi, third grade, and welcome back to the second half of our shared read called Earth and Its Neighbors. For this lesson, you'll need your Reader's Writer's Companion book and to open up to page 5. We're going to pick up where we left off from yesterday. Yesterday, we left off by reading about Galileo and his new telescope, and then also about satellites and how those have helped us learn about outer space. Let's hop into this lesson today by continuing reading page 5.
One Giant Leap. On April 12, 1961, Russian cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin became the first man to travel into space. Just 23 days later, American astronaut Alan Shepard followed. Both flights were short, but they proved that people could go into space. After Shepard, more astronauts went into space. Some orbited Earth. Some walked on the dusty, bumpy surface of the moon. They took pictures and collected moon rocks. Astronauts wanted to answer some important questions. Did the sun's warmth heat the moon? Could the moon support life someday? Captions. Astronaut Edwin Buzz Aldrin walks toward the lunar module. Aldrin left his footprints on the moon. Aldrin brought home this moon rock.
Our first question is about paragraph 1. We're going to summarize. It asks, why was 1961 an important year for space exploration? Summarize in your own words. Well, in this paragraph, it talks about these people who went into outer space, Yuri Gagarin and Alan Shepard. And it says that by these two guys going into outer space, it proved that people could go into space. So let's write that on the line. We'll use their last names. So Gagarin and Shepard's flights proved that people could go into space. Go ahead and write that on the line. Pause the video if you need more time to write. Now it wants us to underline the text evidence in this paragraph that helped us to summarize. Let's underline cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin, astronaut Alan Shepard, and let's underline this full sentence down here at the bottom that says both flights were short, but they proved that people could go into space. The next question focuses on paragraph 2, and we'll talk about suffixes. It says, circle 2 words that describe the surface of the moon. Write what they mean here. Well, this sentence here is popping out to me because it has the word surface in bold lettering. The lettering is darker and it pops out from all the other words. The sentence says, some walked on the dusty, bumpy surface of the moon. So let's circle the words dusty and bumpy. Boys and girls, this would count as a right there question. Did you see how easily I was able to find this answer? I looked for words in the paragraph that matched the question. For example, this part of the question says the surface of the moon, and here we have surface of the moon. And these two words, dusty, bumpy, well, they have the suffix y at the end. This suffix y helps me to know that this is a describing word. It's giving a characteristic. So now that we've circled the two words, we need to write what each of those words mean on the line. Dusty means to have a lot of dust. Bumpy means to have a lot of bumps. Make sure you write both of those sentences on the line. Let's turn the page and continue reading.
Scientists studied the photographs and moon rocks that the astronauts brought back. They made exciting discoveries using telescopes and satellites, but it wasn't enough. Scientists wanted to get closer to the other planets. Soon they found a way. Hubble and beyond. Scientists created another telescope, but this time it was gigantic. They sent it up into space. The Hubble Space Telescope was launched in 1990. It's still up there and orbits the Earth above the clouds. It takes clear, close-up photographs of stars and planets. It sends fascinating information back to Earth. The Hubble helps scientists study Earth and its neighbors. It also helps astronomers see planets outside our solar system. It takes the Hubble telescope 96 minutes to orbit the Earth.
Wow, that's some really interesting information that we just learned. This Hubble telescope was launched in 1990. That means it's been up there for 30 years now. And it's still working and giving us information about Earth and the other planets. That's pretty awesome. Our first question for this page is going to be on paragraph 1, and we're going to summarize again. The question says, draw a box around details that show what scientists did. Summarize in your own words. Well, this paragraph tells us a ton of things that scientists did, and it starts with this first sentence. It says, scientists studied the photographs and moon rocks that the astronauts brought back. So we can just focus on boxing in this first part because that's what they're doing. They're studying the photographs of moon rocks. So go ahead and box that part in. Let's continue reading so that we can find more details. It says, they, meaning the scientists, they made exciting discoveries using telescopes and satellites. So let's box that in too. They made exciting discoveries. That's another thing that the scientists did. But it wasn't enough. Scientists wanted to get closer to the other planets. Soon they found a way. So here again, it's talking about what the scientists did. It says they wanted to get closer. Box that part in. Then box in, they found a way. What did they find a way to do? To get closer. So we just found a bunch of really great details about what these scientists did, but we're not done yet because it says that we have to summarize it in our own words. That means that we can't copy the words directly from the text. We have to take these ideas and write them down in our own new words. Let's do that together. How about this? Let's write, scientists studied what astronauts brought back. They also used telescopes and satellites to make discoveries. And we can also say they found a way to do more. Take a minute and make sure that you're writing this all in. If you need some more space, you can always write on the side or down below. Our next question is going to be found in paragraph 2, and it's on main idea and key details. It says, underline key details that tell you about the Hubble Space Telescope. What is the main idea of this section? Let's reread and underline as we go. Scientists created another telescope, but this time it was gigantic. Ooh, that's a good detail. It is a very big telescope. They're saying it's gigantic. They sent it up into space. The Hubble Space Telescope was launched in 1990. Ooh, that's a good one. Launched in 1990. Underline that. It's still up there and orbits Earth above the clouds. Let's underline it's still up there because that is very impressive to me. Like I said, it's been up there at least 30 years at this point, and it's still going. It takes clear, close up photographs of stars and planets. Ooh, let's underline that whole sentence. That is telling us that it's taking very good photographs of the stars and planets. It sends fascinating information back to Earth. Let's underline that whole sentence too, because it's not only taking those pictures, but it's sending us all this important information. The Hubble helps scientists study Earth and its neighbors. It also helps astronomers see planets outside of our solar system. All right, I think we got all of the important details underlined, but we're not done yet because it wants us to tell the main idea of this section. The heading of this section is very helpful to figure out the main idea, but also the fact that we already found all of these details is even more helpful. I can tell that this main idea is definitely going to be about this Hubble telescope. So, for the main idea, let's say this: the Hubble telescope helps make important discoveries about space. Go ahead and write that in your book. Let's continue reading our last page.
More discoveries every day. Scientists are still asking questions about Earth and its neighbors in space. With the help of satellites, telescopes, and astronauts, they will continue to explore and find answers. What can we see? With our eyes, with a simple telescope, with the Hubble telescope. With our eyes, the moon. With a simple telescope, craters on the moon. With the Hubble telescope, planets outside our solar system. With our eyes, the sun. With a simple telescope, sunspots. With the Hubble telescope, stars bigger than the sun and far, far away. With our eyes, Mars. With a simple telescope, clouds around Jupiter. With the Hubble telescope, Jupiter's surface. This is a Hubble telescope photo of an exploding star.
Wow, that's amazing that they can use a telescope to see an exploding star in outer space. Our first question is in paragraph 1, and we're going to look for keywords. It says, circle the word explore. Write in an important detail about it. I see the word explore right here, and it's written in bold lettering. The sentence it is in says, with the help of satellites, telescopes, and astronauts, they will continue to explore and find answers. So, what are they using to help explore? Well, they're using the satellites, telescopes, and astronauts. So, let's write that on the line. Satellites, telescopes, and astronauts help us explore. The last question is going to focus on this chart. It says underline 3 things you can see with the Hubble telescope. So if we look at this chart, everything underneath this column are things that we can just see with our eyes. So the moon, the sun, and Mars. Now, with our eyes, Mars will kind of look like a very large star in the sky, but we can still see it. With a simple telescope, we can see all of these things in this column. So, craters on the moon, sunspots, and clouds around Jupiter. And if we had a Hubble telescope, these are all the things that we could see with that very powerful telescope. We could see planets outside of our solar system, stars bigger than the sun and farther away, and Jupiter's surface. So you can see that with each progression, we can see more. The question is asking us to underline three things we could see with this very powerful telescope. So we would just underline each thing in this column. Then down here it says list three things you can see with your eyes. Do you remember which column that was found in? Was it this one, or this one? If you said it was in the first column, you're right. So on the line, we're going to write these three things: the moon, the sun, Mars. The moon, the sun, Mars. That finishes up our shared read called Earth and Its Neighbors. I hope you have enjoyed learning about outer space, telescopes, and satellites just as much as I have. This stuff is super interesting, and I always enjoy learning about outer space. All right, boys and girls, have an out of this world day. Bye for now.